What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Tarun's Thoughts. My name's Tarun Shetty. These are my thoughts. I'm in Florida, hanging out. I woke up today. I didn't even know what day it was. I honestly had no idea what day it was. I woke up and I was like, what day is it? And I literally know what day it is based on what shows are running, comedy shows. And I was like, oh yeah, so yesterday or today's like a mic at Coconuts Comedy Club, so it's Tuesday. Like that's how I piece together days. This is what happens when you don't have a job. You just figure out figure out stuff. Yeah, so I've been in Florida, and I don't feel detached from Hollywood. I'm actually pretty in tune because my comedian friends will always call me and let me know what's going on. And last night I was at the gym and one of my friends called me up. He's like, hey man, did you hear who got on SNL? Of course. I think I know one out of the three. But generally, I try not to be too involved in Hollywood because I feel like that stuff is like JV. When you start worrying about all this other bullshit that goes on in Hollywood, it's good to know, but it can become your identity where you're just seeing what other people are doing in their careers and not working on your own stuff. I mean, I leave my computer out for a reason, so that way it motivates me to write. That's really, I think I'm all about the craft of doing anything. But I want to talk about SNL in general because, I think I submitted for SNL, I think 3 times, twice as a performer, once as a writer. Didn't get called any of those times, which is fine. But it was I always get excited for people who I know who go on the show, and I've known a few people over the years who have gone on the show. None of them have gotten. Actually, I do know one guy who got really famous. Andy Samberg, I went to school with, but everybody else was like on the show for like a year and they flamed out. But it's weird when you're young. But when I was like 19, 20, I was like, oh, maybe I'll be on SNL when I was like doing characters and stuff. I like doing Bobby Khan. I was doing a bunch of other dumb characters. So that was like a goal. Well, no, it wasn't a goal, but it was something in my peripheral. And I like New York City, and I love like Rockefeller Center, and I love like Adam Sandler, if you watch my YouTube page. But then as I got older, like I realized I don't want to, it's not my thing at all. Like I like to just write my books. I like doing my stand-up. And I think that's something which I think a lot of comedians go through as you progress through your career. Like you start off with these goals of what you should have, what you think you should have. Like, oh, I gotta be an SNL. I have to be an actor in a sitcom. I have to do this, be a movie star. And then as you develop your comedy or whatever it is you're doing, you start to figure out your own lane. And what I mean by that is, for instance, like for a while I was doing like a lot of travel show hosting stuff. I really like hosting comedy, like just being myself. Like I think that's why I like doing the vlogs, even though my vlogs are boring a lot of the time. I like being myself and just, being who I am. And that kind of plays into my comedy more because now when I do stand-up, it's the jokes are there, like I'm writing jokes, but I'm always thinking about, man, how can I just be me on stage? How can I just accentuate that on stage and be funny? So that way, like when I was doing stand-up when I was like young, it was like I was doing joke to joke and I was just, man, I hope this next joke hits. I hope this other joke is successful. And now it's like, well, it doesn't matter if the jokes don't hit because if they like me, they're gonna have a great time anyways. I've been working on the past 20-something years. But I think that happens with comedy. Not to diss SNL. I think, everybody who goes on that show, it's a great platform and you get eyeballs. And I think most importantly in Hollywood, it's about getting attention and just trying to distance yourself from the noise because there's so much noise and it's so hard to figure out your lane, right? So you do anything. If something comes your way and you have a great opportunity, you try it. And if it fails, you reinvent yourself. Like, who's that guy, Shane Gillis? He's a comedian. And I don't know him at all. And I think he was on SNL. He got cast in SNL, and like he made some racist comment they found on a podcast. I don't know much about it, but I'm speaking very broadly. But I guess the cancel culture went after him, and then they took away his contract. And I think he's doing pretty well right now. I think like he's now writing his own sketches on YouTube. He's selling out comedy clubs, doing stand-up. And I was telling a friend of mine, I was like, that's probably better than being on SNL, like having a big fan base, right? Because SNL, it's a competitive scene where you're gunning to make those fans. And what if you don't? What if you're not successful? I know a guy, he was on SNL. Remember, he got cast, and Tracy Morgan was on the show. And I remember him talking about it at a club. He wasn't telling me, I was like just listening. I was over eavesdropping. And he was saying that he was like, man, they already have like Tracy Morgan as their go-to black guy. So like, I'm not getting anything on. And he was like cut within a year, right? So we were all like happy when he got on the show. And then like a year later, he was out. So you never know, man, like where these things are going to lead. And you kind of have to have a little luck. Even when you do get your break, you have to hope it works out for you, and you just keep, moving forward. So today I was like, well, let me just write as I always do. Let me start emailing some people, putting myself out there, trying to build a community around Tarun Shetty, aside from puppets and alligators and old people here in Florida. So we'll see where that takes me. I hope everyone has a great week ahead.